Next section is 1.5 quadratic equations. We're going to solve quadratics by factoring square root properties, solve quadratics by completing the square, solve quadratics by the quadratic formula, use the discriminant to determine the number and type of solutions, determine the most efficient method to solve a quadratic. All right, a little bit of some introduction for starters. What is a quadratic equation? Well, a quadratic equation is basically an equation that the variable and it has an exponent. The highest exponent would be 2. So we've talked about linear equations, where an equation's variable has an exponent of 1, and then now we're getting into an exponent of 2. Now how this changes our problem a little bit, linear equations, because the degree of the equation is 1, we'll find one solution at most, that is. And then for quadratics, we're actually going to find 2 solutions. So that kind of holds true for everything. It's going to be based on the degree of the polynomial in terms of how many solutions you can find. What we're going to talk about is general form. General form for a quadratic looks like this. ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So as you can see, it's in descending order, standard form there, and it's set equal to 0. What we also need to know is the zero product principle. What that means, if you multiply a times b and you get 0, that either a has to be equal or 0 to 0, or b has to be equal to 0. So just some basics about quadratics. We'll get into it a little bit more later on and see if we can't solve some quadratic equations.